Well, gentlemen, are we ready to discuss some position battles for this
Yes.
matchup?
Yes.
Definitely. Absolutely. Like in Gravity Falls. Love that show. But in all seriousness, for those that are tuning into this game, and we'll start with you, Tucker, then we'll go to Jordan and go to Brody. What are the position battles that you are looking out for in this 2025 edition of the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry for the third Saturday in October?
So there's a few that I'm watching. Obviously, the quarterback duel is going to be intriguing. Ty Simpson has played some very nice football here of late, and Joey Aguilar has been a very nice find by Tennessee out of the transfer portal and was essentially a trade made by Tennessee and UCLA. So looking forward to that one in particular. Do want to see what Tennessee can do on the defensive line against Alabama's offensive line, just because I do think that is a weakness Tennessee could exploit with an offensive line that hasn't been stellar in pass pro and a defensive line that can eat in the pass rush for sure. And then also I'm just looking to see what Tennessee's linebackers can do against Alabama in the run game and even in the pass game too, to a lesser extent with the tight ends, just because you've got some talented linebackers in this Tennessee group, but you also have a couple that are like elder statesmen who are good players or can be good players, but just haven't always been. Like, for example, Jeremiah Thielander is one of Tennessee's starting linebackers. The coaching staff has referred to him as a tackling machine. But here's the thing. Sometimes you watch him out there and he looks like a 3-star. Let's just call that like it is. And by the way, Tennessee will not have one of its linebackers, Edwin Spillman, for the first half due to a targeting penalty called in the second half of the Arkansas game. So they'll be trotting out Ben Bolton, a no-star linebacker, to replace him for that part of the game. He's been getting quality playing time for a lot of the season. But if it tells you anything, I was in the same youth league as Ben Bolton once upon a time. He did well in the high school ranks, but high school and college are both very different games. So that is one area that I'm intrigued to see, just because Tennessee has struggled there some. But Alabama also a little bit weaker at running back going into this game, just in the wake of the Jam Miller injury.
Yeah, I mean, I agree a lot with what Tucker had to say there. I mean, especially the offensive line and defensive line, or what Tennessee's defensive line, that is, because I think Tennessee right now, if they're not number one, they're like number 2 right now in sacks in the country. And it would be interesting to see how that goes, especially because, I mean, since we've been covering Tennessee this season, it seems like the defensive line has been the strong suit. And then the rest of the defense has been quite iffy, to be honest. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to watch for sure. But also, I'm excited to see if Chris Brazzell can have a bounce back game, because he got locked up last week. I think he only had like one catch, I think, for 5 yards, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, if he's not able to recover from that, then I mean, his Biletnikoff chances are pretty much out the window. So it would be interesting to see how he fares against Alabama's defensive backs, which I don't have a whole bunch of familiarity with, but I know how Alabama's been dominating recruiting for the past forever. So I assume that there's a lot of athletes out there that are going to give him a tough time. So I'm excited to see that matchup probably more than anything.
Brody, you're up next, good buddy.
Man, I think that they made some good points. There's several different position battles that you could look at, but I would say the one that I'm definitely circling is Alabama's D line versus Tennessee's O line. Alabama's struggled to stop the run. Tennessee averages over, I want to say, 200 yards a game, if I'm not mistaken, on the ground. They got a very prolific offense. Alabama's got, obviously, Jeremiah Beeman's out for the season. James Smith's been banged up. Jamarian Latham's out. You got some injuries up front. So some of them younger guys are going to be playing, and they like to sprinkle in the pass, obviously, and throw it vertically. So I think it's going to be challenging for Alabama. up front. I know Tennessee has a good offensive line, but I think that's a key for Alabama to, pull off the win. I think they got to be able to stop the run. And, if they do like they did against Missouri, then I think they have a great chance. But I think the key is just being able to stop the run.
No doubt about it. I mean, that is definitely going to be a position battle. Look out for is the running backs versus that Tennessee defensive line. Like what's going to be happening now that we don't have Jam Miller for basically this week? And I mean, let's be real. Jam Miller needs to rest. He's got to rest. But are we going to see some more Kevin Riley? Are we going to see some more? Are we going to see some Ackland Deer? That'll be a good one. But the wide receivers at Alabama versus the Tennessee CBs, that's definitely a position battle I'm keeping an eye on. And who's going to be keeping their eye on Josh Cueves? That's going to be a good one. Because Cueves, oh man, he's going to be amazing. But how about Aguilar versus that Bama defense? Because I think Bama can put a ton of pressure on Aguilar. And what can that defense of Tennessee do against Simpson? Like how have you felt about the defense this season, gents?
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a mystery with this team. I think personally that, and you mentioned that the Aguilar and versus that Alabama defensive line. I will counter that a little bit by saying Tennessee has been very good actually in pass protection this year, despite having what's not been a fully healthy offensive line for most of the season, with David Sanders being out for a good portion of the season to start the year. So we'll see how much of an impact that is. Obviously, environment could play a little bit of a factor there with it being a night game. So that's something to watch. But no, I think Tennessee can definitely get after Ty Simpson just with what we've seen this year. Going on the road as a defense, it's much easier for you to communicate. And I think that's something people don't realize sometimes. So I do expect Tennessee to be able to get after Ty Simpson in this game. It's just if he finds running lanes, then you could be looking at potential problems for Tennessee against Ty Simpson. And you mentioned the cornerback battle, Jackson. I think that's something to keep an eye on too, because there are trustworthy insiders from the Tennessee football program saying any help that you will get it or you wanted at cornerback this year that you thought you were going to get with guys returning from injuries, you're probably not going to get it anytime soon. So it's going to be a real challenge for Tennessee, has been all year. Real baptism by fire for guys like Ty Redmond. Colton Hood at least had some experience going in, but yeah, it's going to be a tough battle just because we know that these guys are in sync with Ty Simpson so much to the point where they can create things on the fly that just weren't there before. And I've seen it with all three of Alabama's starting wide receivers. So it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything Tucker's had to say. I mean, just like noticing throughout the year, I mean, Tennessee's defensive line is definitely the best part of the defense. I mean, they can create pressure all day, but like Tucker said, I mean, if Ty Simpson can escape the pocket, I mean, there's sometimes Tennessee sends too many guys on the blitz and then they don't set the edge all the time. And then that just leaves a lane right open to the side for Ty Simpson to run. And that's something Tennessee's going to have to keep an eye on because Tennessee's struggled stopping the run this year. I mean, we saw it with Mississippi State with Bothwell running wild. We saw it even last week at Arkansas with Washington. I mean, he had a spectacular game too. So running the football is something. If Alabama can get that going against Tennessee, then Tennessee might have a problem. But they are going to create pressure. They are going to get to Ty Simpson, and but he's a composed quarterback, so I don't know how much it affects him. I know he has a lot of experience being one of Saban's guys, so I feel like if anyone would be able to deal with the pressure, I would assume it would be Ty Simpson. But yeah, Tennessee's defensive line is by far the best part of their defense, and then I don't know, stopping the run's an issue for Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who can stop the run for Saturday, because that is definitely going to be a key to victory, which we will definitely get to keys to victories later on in this show. But I'm curious about defense because it's going to be quite a battle. I mean, I don't really think this will be a high scoring game. It's not going to be. It doesn't really feel like it'll be. I mean, you're basically going to have Aguilar and Simpson go against one another. And I will say, Tennessee is still thanking God Nico's not there anymore.
Yeah, that's one where you and I are going to have to disagree, Jackson. I actually think it could be quite a high-scoring game because, and I've said this to Jordan on our show, Tennessee Volunteers Live, but if you can score 41 points on Georgia and you can put up that kind of damage on a defense like Georgia, you can do it with anybody in the SEC. And I get it. They've had some problems at times this year on defense, even against Alabama in the first half. They did better in the second half, but they did struggle a little bit at times in that game. But no, I think Tennessee can score points on Alabama. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not Tennessee can stop Alabama, which is why I do think it could play out a little differently. I don't necessarily think it means Tennessee's going to win the game by any means, as we discussed last night. But I do think it's going to play out a little differently than a bit of a lower scoring game. I don't think you're going to see a 24-17 type game like what you saw last year in Neyland.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I mean, Tennessee's defense, like I said, they've been struggling quite a bit, and I'm looking at Alabama's stats here too. They do have the number 21 red zone defense, which could be an issue with Tennessee coming to scoring, and they have the number 18 defense. But outside of that, I mean, Alabama's quite far back in a lot of these categories. But like I said, Tennessee is too. I mean, Tennessee's got number 100 total defense in the country right now. So that's why I also think that it's going to be a high scoring game as well. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I just don't see Tennessee's defense being able to stop the pass very well. So I could see Ty Simpson having a great game. And we saw it with the Georgia game too. I still think that Gunnar Stockton's not thrown as many yards against another team as he did against Tennessee. I could be wrong, but I know that he went from throwing maybe close to 200 each game, and then he threw for something like 371 or something like that against Tennessee. And I think Ty Simpson's a much better quarterback than Stockton. So I think I think Alabama's going to put up some points in this game.
What do you think, Brody?
Man, honestly, I got to disagree too, Jackson. I know Alabama's defense has been playing great ball, but just knowing the track record that Josh Heupel has on offense and the points they've been putting up, Alabama's been in several shootouts with them over the years. Joey Aguilar, aside from maybe the Georgia game, hasn't made a whole lot of mistakes, careless mistakes, and that department. And obviously, Ty Simpson is as consistent as any quarterback in the country. So, I could definitely see it being a high-scoring affair. I know both defenses have had their share of issues and ups and downs, but I think the key is, which team's able to run the football, because that's going to open up the passing attack and create, bigger chunk plays. Alabama's had an issue with giving up several chunk plays, especially against Florida State and several against Vanderbilt, several against Missouri as well. So, I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. It usually has been the past few years. So that's the way that I'm leaning.